Swivl Sessions, interviews with field service entrepreneurs. Get insights and strategies from those who took the leap and risked it all to start their own home service companies. Awesome talk with Roman Gera of Roman's Pressure Wash and Fence Staining. Jeremy, what do you got?
Hey, Tyson, Roman's business is growing at a rapid rate here in 2025. He's only been around for a year and a week, and things are looking good. I think it's due to his obvious hard-working ethic and his ability to analyze his costs versus his profit margins. My favorite line of the day from him was, data is everything. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And I'm going to steal that from him. So that's my thoughts on that.
Roman was my kind of entrepreneur. I mean, he's the quintessential do-it-yourselfer, 25 years with Dell to starting this company a year and a week ago, I think he said. And he found success really by understanding where the margin is with jobs on the business side, but also just the importance of customer service and doing a good job and doing what you say and saying what you do. I think he said that a couple times. So very impressive direction he's going with his business. So Roman Gera with Roman's Pressure Wash and Fence Staining. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Swivl Sessions, where we dive into the world of field service entrepreneurship. Now, before we get to Roman, our guest, unfortunately, we have to introduce our host, begrudgingly. So first off, Roman, I want to introduce you to Jeremy. He's an Aquarius. He likes estate sales, long walks on the beach, and his favorite color is desert camo. Take it away, Jeremy.
Wow. Hey, Roman, I have the pleasure of introducing Rob, the man who somehow balances being an operations expert with having the worst operational spine in the office. The only guy I know who treats his chiropractor like a personal trainer, except instead of getting stronger, he's just slowly morphing into a question mark. Roman, say hi to Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Thank you for those kind words, Edgar. All right, next, meet Tyson. He spent a weekend in Telluride and returned looking like a mountain man who's lost his razor in an avalanche. Sure, he barely spent a day on the slopes, but his beard is now rugged enough to impress any lumberjack. Who knew Colorado could have such a hairy influence? Tyson.
It wasn't quite a week, but yeah, the beard needs to go. Nobody likes it. So, all right, today we're excited to introduce Roman Gera, owner of Roman's Pressure Wash and Fence Staining. It's a pressure washing and fence staining company based out of Pflugerville, Texas. Did I say that right, Roman?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, Roman, welcome to Swivl Sessions. It's great to have you here. How are things up there, over there in Pflugerville?
It's great weather-wise. I don't know if you know much about Central Texas, but we get a lot of different types of weather. Just had an enormous hailstorm yesterday. So, what follows hailstorms are like roofer guys and stuff like that. So anyway, we get all kinds of weather. We're cold one day, hot next, but today's a good day.
It sounds a lot like Atlanta weather, sort of, but maybe a little more extreme over in Texas. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Atlanta is a little more sticky. We do get that here, but not as much. And it does get hot here in August. Some people try to realize why they've moved here because it's extremely hot. Spanish is guerra, which means war. And sometimes at family reunions, we tell everybody to guerra the hell out of here.
Roman, tell us how you got started in the business. Give us a little background information about yourself and what you did leading up to starting a business.
Sure. So I'm 53 years old, native here in Austin, Texas. Pflugerville's right outside of Austin. There's a company called Dell. I was with Dell for 25 years. I don't have an education, so I worked my way through different levels, 7 levels of job grades. So I'm really interested and had a great time there. Got laid off about a year and a half ago. They gave me a great severance package, made a lot of money along the way, for the level of education I had. I had people working for me in 14 different countries. So it was a great learning lesson. I learned a lot. So I thought, let's get back. I was in supply chain, basically, is what we did. And so let's get back into that. And, you never know how things are going to go when you get laid off. You know a lot of people, and obviously throughout the years, and you think, hey, get a job, no problem. Well, didn't really happen that way. So I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I've always been that way. And so I was doing stuff around the house and staining fences and just doing all kinds of stuff. I built a room in my other house before, so kind of good with my kind of handiwork and stuff. And I just thought, hey, maybe I should do this on the side, just, so I was doing some neighbors' yards and stuff. And then I have a lot of family here that own a lot of little small businesses, from body shops to welding and stuff like that. And I called up one of my cousins and said, hey, I'm going to be thinking about doing this fence staining thing, but they use pressure washers too, like to clean the fence and stuff. And you think you could do some welding on my trailer? I don't know what I need exactly. And he's like, hey, I know a guy in Temple, Texas, which is about an hour away, that does fence staining. And so by the next day, this guy had become my mentor and showed me some stuff about fence staining. He had been doing it on the side for 27 years, and he's retired from Travis County, which is what we live in. And so kind of showed me the ropes, actually showed me his financials and everything. And I thought, this will be fun for a side gig until I can pick something up. And so I've been officially in business for about a year and a week now.
Yeah.
And so
Happy
this was
anniversary.
like, yeah,
Nice.
thanks. Yeah. So just kind of, hit off. I had a lot of questions and stuff. And so just kind of fast forward, and there's a lot of detail behind it, a lot of things that I've learned the hard way, YouTube, and just a lot of customers that I've interacted with. But as of late, we just poured a driveway. We're going to do a patio this week. So I've met some people in this business that I've through really good friends that say, hey, here's a friend that can help you and all that. I'll just say one more thing. There's a neighborhood that got a hold of my name. Some people were talking really well about me and said, hey, we want you to bid on our neighborhood fencing. I'm like, okay, cool. How much, how many linear feet are we talking? Well, after we measured it, it's 39,000 linear feet. So it's like 5 miles of fencing, right? And this is not your regular fence. So I met a guy through my friend who's been in construction. And so with him, he's just like, hey, you got any jobs? Bring them. Let's do it. So I'm the kind of the sales guy. I take a little off the top, and they do good work. And, this has my name on it. So I'm going to make sure it's done right. So it's been fun. It's not for everybody, and you got to have the energy to do this. And, I'll be honest, my wife told me a few months into this, what are you doing? Why are you working? And we're not rich, we're good. We're fine. And I like to play golf, and
to hear it.
Yeah. And I just enjoy, as I've gotten through, and really the satisfaction of cleaning something and making it look great, and just transforming somebody's mess or somebody's, messed up fence or whatever to, they come out and go, wow, I never thought it would look like that, So the satisfaction of that, it's been really great.
Well, you answered my next question, Roman, which was that, that decision to start your own business. But I was wondering, when you left Dell, you said you were kind of going through the motions of the interviews and everything, but was there just an aha moment where you were like, you know what, I can do something on my own and I want to work for myself?
Yeah, I did. But not until I was kind of already into it, as I thought this will be a side gig, and then I'll find a regular job. And then, I'll have this to do, as I please. And again, we're working with an HOA, and you learn a little bit about HOAs. Like,
don't get me started.
They can't really trust us behind, but I've met some property managers that really like the work that I've done. And in the early days, I was kind of giving it away, and I've got my name up there now. I think I'm on Google for like 9 months now. We got 36 5-star rating. And so just kind of heads up, this is really a business for me, to be honest with you. I'm not looking to build out fleet trucks. I'm not. But the aha moment was more, it was really just in the beginning days of this, just knowing, look, I can do this stuff, right? Now, my mentor said, hey, whenever you're doing a job, knock on the doors around, let them know, hey, I'm doing this or that. Like, so we're staining the fence, let them know you're staining the fence. Have I got any overspray on your home or your window or whatever? Just give me a call and I'll come make it right. Or if you're doing pressure washing, let them know that, you're going to hear a lot of noise or whatever the case might be. So that night, I was like, these damn pressure washers. So I went and bought top of the line stuff, went and bought $12,000 of 2 pressure washers. And they go by gallons per minute and PSI. And so these were 8 gallon a minute, 4,000 PSI systems anyway. So we learned quickly this job is about having the right equipment. And then you kind of can do more, it's more about being efficient with your time and stuff like that. That's right.
So, Roman, before you started your business, you were kind of, you're doing it as a side job. You had some expectations. Once you started it, is there a disparity between what you thought you might get into and what you did? I know you probably hit some of them as you were slowly getting into it as a side job, but once you jumped fully into it, were there any kind of expectations that were not met? Yeah,
well, there were some good surprises. So my thought, which, I was new to this, I've never even owned my own business. I'm still kind of trying to figure it out. But I ran a business at Dell, and we were managing P&Ls and stuff like that, right? And Dell, we ran, there's a few aspects of the business, right? It's the people, it's the customer experience, and it's the processes around it. And then at the end of it, it's the financials, right? At the end of the day, if we're making any money and what do we need to do with that? So as I'm going into this, I thought, okay, fit staining. Yeah. I mean, we kind of had the model. There's a minimum, and then you can make, $95 to $1.05 per square foot, and you make some money. And then, you have this pressure washer that helps you clean the fence. And then, oh, by the way, there's some residential people that want their pressure washer, their driveways cleaned or whatever. That's like $200. I mean, I was making $100 an hour at Dell, so I knew that that's not gonna cut it, right? Until my friend Kevin, who I met, who gave me our first commercial lead, introduced me to some property managers that took a chance on me. And I'm talking between $3,000 to $6,000 jobs that were maybe 6 to 8 hours, right? And
what kind of commercial property? Or is it commercial property, or is it apartment complexes? What kind of property managers?
Yeah, like just office buildings, or one of them were credit unions. There's credit unions around town that we got in with. They just gave us a chance. And so just kind of on the number side, to answer your question, Rob, is, never thought pressure washing was where the money is. And so you look at all the other things that we're doing, patios, fences, and all that, there's an investment. You got to put some money in it and hope to God that they pay you, and then you make your profit. Pressure washing, you've got labor, and you got the chemical. So you can spend, like, for instance, this $5,000 deal, spend $80 on chemical. And then I think I paid $800 to $1,000 on my labor, and the rest is mine. Now I've got all my equipment paid off. I've got about $30,000 in equipment that I paid off last year through business. Pressure washing is where it's at. And that's what I found out. That's like, wow, okay. I had no idea, commercial pressure washing. And it's one of those things where people, in the business, their main concern is, is the air on, the electricity, how's the plumbing, all that kind of stuff. Washing sidewalks and stuff is kind of their lowest priority. But if, they know they need to get to it, and they don't want to pay an arm and a leg, but they have budgets. So that's kind of where I thought, okay, I didn't know about this. And so now it's a great thing. So, with that kind of money, I can do it would take me 30 driveways to make that kind of money. And it would take me 30 days to do that, right? Where I can do it in 6 or 8 hours. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like your commercial customers are paying more per square footage. You mentioned 21 cents, and then you mentioned $1 per square foot. Is that right? That's where commercial guys are paying more?
Yeah, well, there's more to cover, right? So when you look at the fence staining, you do it by, you want to do it by square footage, right? So it's 6 feet, 6 foot high fence by 100 feet. That's 600 square feet. Well, obviously flat work, that 600 feet is not very much, right? So you got thousands of that. And so just one thing I missed on the pressure washing cost model is that for the old guy here, I'm not doing a lot of work. I'm at the fire engine, making sure that all the pumps are working and stuff. And I got my son or my uncles, who are retired. My uncles are retired, and my sons may come out help. They're doing most of the work, right? I'm just making sure that they're working. I'm getting them water. Things break all the time. Almost every job, something is going to break. So that's the other side of that piece. So, there's not a lot of investment in that. I'm not working my butt off so much, but I am the guy that can fix anything at this point until I can train someone else to do it. Yeah. So when you look at the square footage for pressure washing, some guys really take it a little too far. They're like, hey, it's 15 cents a square foot or 20 cents. And that's it. I look at it like, how much is my time worth? Is it $125, $150 an hour? How much am I paying my guys? $50 an hour, which is pretty good. And then how much am I spending in chemicals? And then what do I want to walk away with? And, it's a different model. It's not a straight 15 cents or it's nothing. It's about, we do that. And then I'm like, if I can sense that the customer may be on the fence about it, no pun intended. I'm like, well, what's your budget? Give me a number. Does that work for me? I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it works. Yeah, let's get it done. Because I know we're going to do good work. And the idea is that they're going to be a repeat customer, and maybe we can get them on a maintenance contract, right? We'll come back every 6 months, and you don't have to wait so long. And it will be cheaper for you. And, we'll just show up, and we have automatic billing through our Chopper app. So.
I like the commercial aspect, so that you get a lot. That's all repeat business, right? The residential
starting
stuff
to be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
So, residential, we do other things. So literally some things to get me to the door, and these aren't puns. These are just like real things, is I'll stain somebody's door. That gets me through the door, right? I'm staining and I'm chit-chatting with them going, hey, you got a nice fence, or wow, you could use a new gate, or, we got pressure washing we can do, or hey, you ever thought about doing a driveway sealant? We're doing everything now. So it's going, and maybe you can pick up a few more things. You do a good job. These people are going to call you back, and I'm already seeing it.
I like how you said a couple of times about your cost models. I guess I don't really have a question about it, but I just point out that it's somewhat rare for someone who's been in business for a year to have, focus on their cost models, and instead of just say, the market takes this for a price or that for a price. So I like the fact that you're analytical enough to see that. I think it's super important to grow any business. But the other question I wanted to ask you was, you had mentioned that you were still trying to figure some things out. So, this podcast is about entrepreneurs and kind of the hurdles that they're going over and blind spots. What are you still trying to figure out? What are some things that you can help with? Like, what problems do you have?
So there's a couple things. One is I'm realizing that at 53 years old and in the middle of summer, this sucks. You want to be home by 1. It's too hot. Yeah. But the other thing is that anything you do, is trainable. And the challenges that I have right in front of me are, I got a guy who wants for about a month now. That guy's a friend of mine, and I've just kind of keep in touch with him. He wants a big patio done, and he wants a gas line to run through it, and he wants a sidewalk, and we can do all that. I can do that. I got another guy who wants this fancy fence that I sold for $100 as a linear foot, and he said, yeah, no problem. And then he wants a sidewalk that goes around. There's some other projects that I need to get to my guy who can give me a bid on it, which he's already done some, but we've got a lot of administrative things that I need to do. But, I've got to go to a customer now. I got to do this job that I sold. And I'm not a kind of guy who's going to be like, well, I know I said I'd be here today, but I'm not going to, do what you say and say what you do and prove it. Right. Yep. And so my challenge is, thank God I have my youngest son and my older son. My youngest son lost his job, so he's kind of in between. And I told him, look, this business is mine, but if you want to jump in and, go make a sale, just do it. If you lose money on it, you'll learn from it, right? So my youngest son is kind of like, yeah, I'm in it. Let's go, let's do it. And I love it because he's doing a great job, and he's doing sometimes better than me, which is good. And so
that's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah. Now he doesn't learn the kind of the business side of it, but he can do the manual work and does a great job. So he's the guy who's like, hey, put signs on my truck, let me get out there and I'll do it. And you can stay in the office and do that. So that's kind of my challenge now, is to being able to trust others, which is probably a common theme among,
let go
business. Yeah. Letting go, which is, I'm never going to let go, but I'll get you started, and then I'm going to come back and check on you, which is I'm going to do with this fence job.
Always watching, Roman, always watching.
Yeah. At some point, but you're right. You've got to give people a chance, and, they're going to mess up just like I messed up in the beginning, and I'm going to continue to make mistakes. That's really what it's about, is how do we get out in front and obtain, maybe some bigger jobs that are more scalable, right? The bigger ones is where you make more commercial, you can make money more efficiently, right? You still always want to do a good job, but that's kind of my challenge. And I'm in between now. Like, I live on 2 lots here, and I'm in Pflugerville. I've got a way to hide my equipment, which eventually they're going to find out, so I need to go, literally this week, I need to go find storage unit with a couple of garage doors where I can put some of that. I'm going to buy a dump trailer tomorrow. I'll have 3 trailers. I got a pressure washer trailer, a regular trailer for miscellaneous stuff. And then I'm going to have a dump trailer, which I'll be renting out as well to my family, and then using it for other stuff. I don't use that a lot. I've got people subcontractors that do all that. So I need to find a place, that's reasonable. But once you do that, it's like, okay, now you have to go get the revenue, right? You have to go find the money to pay for this stuff. So, did that help answer your question?
Yes.
Very much so.
Those are good things that you need to figure out. So,
yes.
People and how to get that growth in the right way. So how to get over the growing pains, I guess, not just the growth. I mean, you've got jobs stacked up, so that's pretty cool. Good problems.
I try to do my schedule Tuesday through Friday, right? I want to work Tuesday, Friday. I want to have Mondays off and the weekends off. So anyway, ideally, I would like to work Tuesday through Friday, and I try to stick with that.
That's part of when I ask questions about expectations, that's kind of what I hope to hear all the time. Yeah, I'm going to work 4 days a week, expectation. Reality, I'm working 7. That's kind of...
and harder.
Oftentimes the case.
Roman, you mentioned you've been in business for a year and a week, and then you have your son and your uncle and maybe another son, if I followed correctly, helping out with the team.
That's right.
What? So you're growing. Obviously, 2025 sounds like you're killing it right now. Where do you want your customer base to be? Is it going to be commercial all the way at some point? Are you going to have 2 divisions? Like, thinking that looks like for you as far as commercial versus residential. that sort of thing.
You want to be where the margin is. And so for commercial, it could be anything really, right? You're in your commercial, you can sell them. They want big stuff. They need a lot of square footage covered or linear feet. So that's more pressure washing. But if they've got a huge fence deal, I'm there too, right? Residential, it's not pressure washing, but you make a lot of money on fences, fence insulation, So, I charge, depends on what it's going on. I mean, between $55 to $100 a linear. It depends on what it is. I spend between labor and fencing. I'm not telling you secrets here, but up to 30. So anything above 30 is mine.
Yeah.
And that could be residential, right? So it's too broad of a statement to answer for me. It's where the margin is, right? It's where you can get the bigger deals. So at this point, I don't have anything hard set in stone. It's more about where the margin is. But I'll do almost anything as long as I'm making 30% or 50%. So if it's a small, for instance, gate, I charge if you're on the side of your house, maybe you have an old gate and a fence, maybe it's 15 feet in linear. I'll sell it for $500 and I buy the wood and I'll make $300 off of that.
Yeah. Being a software company and mainly a field service centric software like we are, I was curious how technology has helped you with your business as far as the CRM or scheduling or doing tasks. I was just curious how has technology helped you grow?
Well, I think about that often, honestly. I think about how did people do it 30 years ago? Things are so much more efficient now and readily available, from the education to, just how you're managing your business. And obviously I could be a broken record. You're talking about this, but I'll just tell you from just learning as I'm out doing stuff, pressure washing or fence staining, and I run into something like, a snag or just a question that night, I'll get on YouTube and boom, there it is. Somebody's already encountered that. Or, you'll learn what not to do. You'll learn that some people on YouTube are full of it. They don't know. And then, some people that are, right? There's some people out there that are very dangerous, and they have lots of likes, and it's like, what
but
they're
they
doing
sure
is
sound like
that's right. Yeah, they make it seem simplified, but as you get out there, you go, that's not going to work. The funny thing about the CRM, which we use CRMs at my previous job, different levels. You learn the responsiveness and just kind of following up and just the tracking of everything. Data's everything, right? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Yeah, the CRM, the technology in that, it's just amazing. And as you know, you can not answer the phone and you can have somebody do that. And I'm totally against that. I answer the phone all the time. I learned who spam is. I never answer her. I don't even like the taste of spam.
It's awful.
Yeah, tofu either. I know that you got to answer the call, and I know that I get, Google calls me all the time, and I know there's nobody at Google calling me. Google doesn't even like to use the phone, right?
Roman, you'll be shocked how many people don't answer the phone that we've found.
Field service companies.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Leave a message and we'll get back to you. For a, field service company. Pulls you away.
But it was all about responsiveness. It was about answering the phone. It was about knowing, oh God, who's calling you? Yeah, how can you help? And you learned that sometimes people want events, sometimes people have legitimate reasons that your company sucked. I'm getting what I need out of it, and I can see the potential. And some people don't care, right? But these days, I'll just say it, some of the younger folks, they live by technology. They want it here now, versus the older folks, which they're good with phone calls and stuff, and they probably don't even read your text messages. Anyway, yeah. So technology has been great. It's wonderful.
Cool. Roman, so we'd like to kind of finish it by asking about your future state. But before we do that, so just brief history, 77,000 last year, over 300,000 probably this year. That's a hell of a growth rate. One.
We'll see.
Said a couple times, no education, and you sound like you're more educated than the three of us combined. How, is that a true statement, or is that like no education meaning no grad school?
So there's not one of us in this room that's the smartest one, right? But together we are, and that's how you approach it, right? Yeah. You look at what do you bring to the table, right? We're running a business. What do you bring to the table? What can you contribute, right? And then we all have something to work on, and that's how I see it, right? It's about treating people right. People that work for you, people and customers, right? So I loved working at Dell. I learned so much from the training aspect. 5 months into it, I was promoted. I've loved it ever since. And they trained you and gave you a lot of, tools and things to really look at, solving problems and being a problem solver and approaching it with a positive attitude, right? And having that positive power of influence. And you probably heard that from the 7 habits of So, there's a lot of tools, right? And you can take that and you can run with it. I've been given opportunities and I took a chance. And so just kind of a heads up from me, my first job I got when I was 13, and there's just something in me that it's always been, I grew up in poverty, and I had a kind of a hard life, but anyway, I was always kind of hungry for that. And then the second day I was 13 years old, they called me in the office and it's like, we want to talk to you. I'm like, oh shit, what is it? Well, I got a raise. It's because I just wouldn't stand still. And then I went to Chuck E. Cheese and I did that. I went to another company and I started out counting hardwares and for a blind company.
Work ethic early. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I learned accounts payable, receivable, inventory, did that at Dell and all that. So, I'm definitely not smarter than you guys, but I think I could contribute.
Now, what about your exit strategy? I know you said this is your business, but if it grows, be it, is there any plan to sell it?
No, not at this point. I think I'm going to probably always keep this thing, even if I were to get another job. And hopefully by then, one of my sons or somebody I trust could take over the majority of it. I'm starting to get repeat customers, which is great. So there's no exit strategy here. It'd be nice to make, a little bit more money, but I'm comfortable in the $100,000 to $400,000 range a year, to be honest with you. If it grows, it grows, and that's great, and I'm here to support it. And however it grows, if it grows, I want to make sure that along the way we're doing the right things. So I know a really good friend of mine who's had a $50 million business, and doesn't have anything to show for it. And he doesn't have the business any longer. It's just some things they did good work, but on the financial side didn't work out so well. So I'm cognizant of that as well.
Well, Roman, we've covered a lot of ground, and it's always a sign of a good podcast when you don't realize that it's been 56 minutes and 28 seconds. Thanks for sharing your insights, bringing up a company coming from 25 years with Dell to starting your own pressure washing company is pretty amazing, as well as it's doing. But I wanted to ask you, before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to share with the people that are going to be listening or watching? Anything you want the audience to take away, like some advice for future entrepreneurs?
Future entrepreneurs, I think one of the things I learned was a couple of things really is I learned that, again, I went from zero to where I am from even my knowledge. And it's easier if you just go ask somebody who's doing what you're doing. If you can find somebody who can help you in somewhere you want to be, whether it's a lawyer or a doctor, or if you want to be a masseuse, or you want to stain fences or build them, see if you can find somebody who's already gone down that road and see if they can share that information. Normally in another city, it's easier if you can do that. Yeah. So you're not the competition. I think, so it's that, and I was going to say something else. So it's knowing that. And then also, I just saw some YouTube videos where people would say, hey, what would you tell, like a pressure washer guy? And you'll always hear like, hey, just start out with the low stuff and then, work your way. And if you really look and think about it and put yourself in that, the jobs that they do that takes them 8 hours, if they bought some equipment, they could do it in 30 minutes. So, look at the end state of where you want to be and maybe just go get that. If you got your heart and soul, and that's your target and you want to do this and you're 100% sure this is that business that you want to do, go find some of the better equipment or knowledge or whatever you need to be successful. And if you have to get a loan, if it's reasonable, right, practical, feasible, go get that and go ahead and get that level. You don't really need to reinvent the wheel, and you don't need to burn cycles at the lower level. If you really want to put your heart, so if you're not sure if this is what you want to do or not, then obviously stay at a lower level and don't invest so much. But if you pretty sure this is what you want to do, put some investment in there. Yep. Thank you.
Well, Roman, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. We really do appreciate it. It was very, very enlightening. And I'm sure some aspiring entrepreneurs are going to watch that and have an idea that they can do it for themselves. So a huge thank you to Roman Gera for sharing those valuable insights. Good to see how much hard work and passion that you've put into building Roman's Pressure Wash and Scent Staining. You definitely have a true entrepreneurial spirit, and that's why we had you on here. And for all you watching or listening in the greater Texas area, I'm sure to reach out to Roman's Pressure Wash and Scent Staining, and you can find their information. Put your finger up, Roman.
Right here.
Right there.
Here?
Yeah. You can find their contact information right there on the screen, and believe me, you can trust that you're working with a true and reliable expert in the field. Once again, Roman, thank you so much for joining us on Swivl Sessions.
Thank you, Rob.
I want Rob to go.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for listening or watching. Swivl's field service software is everything you need to run your field service business for free. Until next time, check us out at swivl.tech. That's SWIVL.tech.